The Christmas photo was supposed to be a celebration of everything I had done for my son. Instead, it became the moment I finally understood that his wife had never wanted me in their family. I had spent $200,000 helping my son build the dream home he'd talked about since he was a little boy. I paid the down payment. I helped renovate the kitchen. I bought the furniture. I even paid for the Christmas decorations that filled the house that December. Then, just before everyone gathered for dinner, my daughter-in-law looked at me and said, "Maybe you should stay out of the family photo this year." I thought I had misheard her. Then she smiled and added, "It's just, you don't really fit the picture we're trying to create." Everyone went silent. My son looked at his plate. Nobody defended me, so I picked up my purse and walked out. But what they didn't know was that the house they were standing in wasn't just a gift. I had kept every document, every receipt, every agreement. And 3 days later, when my son called me crying because his wife had made a shocking discovery, I finally told him the truth. The house was never completely theirs. My name is Evelyn Carter. I'm 62 years old and I live in Austin, Texas. My husband, Michael, passed away 7 years ago. After 35 years of marriage, I suddenly found myself living in a house that felt far too quiet. My only child, my son Daniel, was 29 at the time. He was kind, hardworking, and ambitious. He had always dreamed of owning a beautiful home where he could raise a family. For years, he and his wife Lauren rented a small apartment. It was cramped. The kitchen was tiny. There was barely room for a dining table. But Daniel loved his life there. Then one Sunday morning, he came to my house with a folder. "Mom," he said, "I found it." I smiled. "Found what?" "My dream house." He showed me the photographs. It was a beautiful property on the edge of Austin. 4 bedrooms, a large backyard, a quiet neighborhood, a kitchen with huge windows. Daniel looked like a child showing me a Christmas present. "How much?" he told me. My heart sank. It was far beyond what he and Lauren could afford. Daniel sighed. "I know." Then he closed the folder. "I guess we'll have to wait." I looked at my son, and I remembered something his father had once told me. When we can help our child build a better life, we should. So I asked, "How much do you need?" Daniel looked at me. "Mom, no. How much?" The answer eventually became $200,000. It wasn't all at once. I helped with the down payment. I paid for the kitchen renovation. I covered several major repairs. I bought furniture. And when the house was finally ready, Daniel called me. "Mom, I don't know how to thank you." I hugged him. "You don't have to." Lauren hugged me too. At least, that's what I thought. She whispered, "You're the best mother-in-law anyone could ask for." I believed her. For the first year, everything was wonderful. Then Lauren changed. Slowly, almost invisibly. She began making comments. "You don't need to come over every weekend. You should call before visiting. This is our private space now." I understood. It was their home. I respected that. So I visited less. Then came the strange comments about money. "Daniel told me how much you've invested in this house." I smiled. I wanted to help. Lauren looked at me. "Sometimes helping too much makes people dependent." I didn't understand what she meant. But I ignored it. The real change came when Christmas approached. Daniel called me. "Mom, we're hosting Christmas this year." I was thrilled. "I'd love that." He laughed. "Of course you would." I spent weeks buying gifts. I found something special for Lauren. A diamond bracelet. She had admired one similar to it months earlier. I also bought Daniel a watch his father had once owned. And for the house, I bought a beautiful handmade dining table. I thought it would become part of our family Christmas tradition. I was wrong. Christmas Eve arrived. The house looked beautiful. Lights covered the front porch. A huge tree stood beside the fireplace. The dining table was covered with candles and crystal glasses. I arrived carrying gifts. Lauren opened the door. Her smile was strangely cold. "You're early." "I'm sorry." "No, it's fine." She stepped aside. I walked in. Daniel hugged me. "Mom?" I smiled. "Merry Christmas." For a while, everything felt normal. Then dinner ended. Lauren stood beside the Christmas tree. "Everyone, let's take the family picture." Daniel grabbed his phone. The children gathered. Lauren positioned everyone. Then she looked at me. "Evelyn, could you take the picture?" I froze. "Sure." I took the phone. She arranged everyone else. Daniel stood beside her. Their children stood in front, and there was an empty space where I should have been. I lowered the phone. "Do you want me in it?" Lauren smiled. "Maybe not this one." I stared at her. "What?" She lowered her voice. "It's our immediate family." Daniel looked away. I looked at my son. "Daniel?" He didn't answer. That hurt more than anything Lauren had said. I handed him the phone. "Take your picture." Then I picked up my purse. Lauren said, "Evelyn, don't make this dramatic." I turned around. "I'm not." I looked at Daniel. "I just finally understand." Then I walked out. I drove home through the Christmas lights with tears running down my face. Not because I had been excluded from a photograph. Because I realized I had spent $200,000 helping build a home where I apparently wasn't considered family. I sat in my driveway for almost 20 minutes. Then I called my attorney. "Evelyn," she said. "Yes? I need you to pull every document related to Daniel's house." There was silence. Then she asked, "Why?" "Because I think it's time my son learns exactly what I paid for." The next morning, my attorney sent me the documents. The $200,000 wasn't a gift. It had been structured as a private family loan. Daniel knew. Lauren knew. They had signed the agreement before closing. The repayment schedule was simple. If the house was ever sold, refinanced, transferred, or used as collateral without my written consent, the outstanding balance would become immediately due. I had never enforced it. I didn't want my son to feel like he owed me, but Lauren had spent months telling everyone that I had bought my way into their family. So I decided to stop pretending the agreement didn't exist. 3 days after Christmas, Daniel called. His voice was shaking. "Mom." "Yes?" "Lauren found the paperwork." "I know. You're asking for the $200,000? "No." Silence. "Then what do you want?" I took a breath. "I want my son back." He started crying. I closed my eyes. "I never wanted your money, Daniel." "I know. I never wanted control over your marriage." "I know. I just wanted to be your mother." He couldn't speak. Then he said, "I'm sorry." That evening, Daniel came to my house alone. He looked exhausted. He sat at the kitchen table, the same table where his father and I had once helped him with homework. "Mom," he said, "I was wrong." I looked at him. "About what?" "I let Lauren make me ashamed of you." That sentence broke my heart. He continued. "She said you were trying to control us." "Was I?" "No." He looked down. "You helped us because you loved me." I reached across the table. "Then don't let anyone make you ashamed of being loved." He started crying. So did I. Daniel eventually made a difficult decision. He and Lauren separated. It wasn't because of the Christmas photo alone. There had been months of manipulation, financial arguments, and resentment underneath it. The photograph was simply the moment everything became impossible to ignore. Daniel stayed in the house. He refinanced it, and he paid me back slowly. Not because I demanded it, because he wanted to make things right. A year later, Christmas came again. This time, Daniel called me. "Mom?" "Yes?" "Are you free Christmas Eve?" I smiled. "Why?" "I want you to come over." I hesitated. "Are you sure?" He laughed. "Mom, it's my house." Then he said, "And there's one more thing." "What?" "You're taking the family photo." I laughed through my tears. When I arrived, the house looked different. Not because the furniture had changed, because the feeling had. Daniel opened the door. "Merry Christmas, Mom." I hugged him. Then he handed me a small box. Inside was a framed photograph. It was an old picture of my husband, Daniel, and me. Daniel had written something underneath it. "The family that built me." I couldn't speak. He hugged me. I spent years thinking a home was walls and furniture, he said. But Dad taught me something before he died. What? That a home isn't where you're allowed to stand. He looked at me. It's where you're wanted. I wiped my tears. Then everyone gathered around the Christmas tree. Daniel handed his phone to his daughter. Ready? She smiled. Yes. We stood together. This time, nobody asked me to move. Nobody told me I didn't fit. Nobody treated me like a guest. The camera flashed. And for the first time in years, I realized the $200,000 hadn't been wasted. It had taught my son something money never could. Love should never be measured by what you give someone, and family should never be measured by who gets to stand in the picture. Sometimes the greatest revenge isn't taking back what you gave. It's watching the person you love finally understand its value.